A little bit earlier today, a gigantic interview with Andrew Tate and Patrick Bet-David dropped, and I would highly recommend it. I listened to it on 1.5 speed, and I thought that it was at least on par. I'd have to go back and watch the first one, but it was very good. It was very informative, and a lot of the questions that the BBC could have asked Tate during their little setup interview could have been answered there, but hey man, PBD got the exclusive. When I was listening to it, like 150,000 cats were in the chat, and that stuff was spinning, and the chat was breaking and all that stuff. It was a good interview. I would highly recommend it, and yeah, no, definitely, please, feel free to go out there and watch that, but it's weird, right? Because I've been wanting to do an update. It's been a long time since we've had the opportunity. I think the last time that I've really chimed in on the Tate situation was when they were allowed to go back to their residence. I've done a couple of streams, obviously, on this, but no, specifically a pointed informational video. It's been a hot second since they were released on house arrest, and everything was all fine and dandy afterwards. And then I start to see this stuff as well, because we also know how long the investigation can be going on, 6 months in totality, meaning that June 29th is in fact the drop dead date. And then I see this earlier today, okay, so powering up just in case it put me back tomorrow for join for updates, all that stuff as well, you know, the newsletter and shit. So I seen another tweet. He was, smoking on the hookah, and now he's got a cigar and all that stuff, and that was something that was also very prevalent throughout the entire PBD interview as well. They were just, smoking and shooting the shit. Like I said, very good stuff. And then, yeah, earlier today as well, at least at time of recording, earlier, like even, I think before even I was awake at that point in time. So by this time tomorrow, the boys, everybody could either be completely free and the investigation is over, but given the fact that this is dropping June 13th of all points in time, kind of leads me to believe that there might be some phony charges. So I think it's as good of time as ever as to run this story back and start to fill in some gaps on some people. So Tristan and I have been summoned to DIICOT offices at 10 a.m. tomorrow morning. 10 a.m. Romanian time, but then that also, because there's so many moving parts when it comes to this situation, they announced last week that the first emergency meeting podcast of the boys specifically going to the studio and turning on the cameras for the first time in 2023, going all the way back to like October or November, the last time that they did anything like that, but it's been a long time. So maybe the authorities are intervening on that. It's like, don't be doing any of that stuff. And then they also caught wind of the PBD interview that was going to be dropping, because that team was leaving hints late last week that this big interview is going to be dropping. It just did earlier today. So now, yeah, I'm getting the messages that the authorities, 2 weeks before the end of the investigation, it's they want to see him in the offices, and it's kind of weird, right? Because obviously, Tate knew, and we watched this on the stream as well, with his 11 or 13 minute long rebuttal video afterwards, that you don't walk away unscathed. And one thing that he brought up during the PBD interview as well was that, okay, the HMS Hood, the crown jewel of the British Navy during World War II, the Bismarck, of course, came over and fired a shot, a lucky shot, a 1 in a million shot, and took down the HMS Hood. And the moment that happened, Winston Churchill decided that every single resource available at the British Navy was going to be dedicated to directly taking down the Bismarck. And as Tate exposed the BBC for just being absolutely detestable individuals, given the Tate camp a list of questions to go over, saying that we'll go ahead and we'll capitulate, we'll adjust our schedule in order to fit you because we want to give you an open, honest, fair forum. Okay, we're not going to be slanted journalists. We're going to come in here and we just want the story. We just want you to be able to tell your truth, Andrew, and then completely do a 180 once they get there. Of course. So he knew exactly what was coming, and well, long story short, oh wow, seemingly another accuser comes out of the woodworks. Wow, who could have possibly seen this? Another anonymous accuser comes out? Color me shocked, right? Latest Andrew Tate accuser says he raped her after choking her out unconscious. How long ago was this? Okay, I know a little bit about this, but another woman. Oh my god, another woman. So what is that? What does that make? 8 at this point in time? Because you had the BBC put out, what was her name? Haley some random white girl name, right? Running all the way back to, the early 2010s, late 2000s, with one of these cases, once it ended up getting pressed, well, it's like, oh, it wasn't really that, and I wouldn't have pressed charges, but I also went to the authorities, and the UK authorities didn't really want to press anything, so we'll see if there's any smoke to this fire, or is it just somebody out in the parking lot kicking up dust, going, look, ooh. Another woman has accused Andrew Tate of rape, alleging that he continued having sex with her even after choking her unconscious. Well, to be fair, how would you know? Just asking. I thought I was going to die, the 30-year-old accuser told The Independent, alleging that her absolutely terrifying ordeal included death threats while still in bed. Okay. She spoke out anonymously. All right, while joining 3 other UK women in a planned lawsuit against the influencer, who is already under house arrest in Romania on separate accusations of rape, trafficking, and organized crime charges. Interesting. Where's all this scuttle that I thought I heard from some intellectuals that were out there that, any day now he's going to be taken down for, financial crimes as well. This wasn't panned out over the course of 6 months, but whatever. Tate's spokesman says he vehemently denies all the accusations and has only ever had consensual sex. The latest accuser, using the pseudonym Evie, great, because she fears she'll be put in harm's way, told BBC Newsnight that Tate seemed nice enough when they first met in Luton in 2014. We're coming out on a decade. So, filing this lawsuit, 3 people in this lawsuit. What would that be? Criminal? No. Oh, civil law. Oh, great. Fantastic. Where the burden of proof is absolutely at the floor. You don't really have to prove anything. Funny. Where have we seen this before? But no. Let's hear everybody out on this one. We got on well. He wasn't expressing any of his views. He was now, said the controversial US-born influencer's open misogyny. Go ahead and point it out, but if you just claim it like that, I guess it's accurate, right? They had consensual sex that night, which was fairly straightforward, with no aggression, she told the British broadcaster. All right, but during their second hookup, months later, wait a minute, pause, what happened? Whilst we were having sex, he put his hands on my throat and strangled me until I lost consciousness. That seems like a uncharacteristic escalation in tactics. I think you're missing some stuff, but that's nothing that you'll ever really have to prove, because this is another shakedown attempt. This one right here, definitely. And given the fact that it's 3 chicks coming forward with this in order to file some civil suit with what are the damages that are being alleged? That's what I want to get to. When I kind of come back around, it was a bit confusing, but he was still having sex with me, claimed Evie, saying it took quite a while to come around because she left without no oxygen. Well, if that was the case, you would be brain dead, but that joke kind of writes itself. I thought I was going to die, she told The Independent. Okay, cool, so you went to the police right afterwards? And no? Oh, okay. While she initially consented. Again, Here we go. I initially consented, and nothing ended up happening in the convening months. And then I came back in order to try to cook up a story. Couldn't get anything to stick at the time, but then I just had to wait until he was at one of the lowest points in his life, where he's currently in a very stressed state. Funny. Weird. I don't see anything sketchy about this at all. We believe all women over here, right, guys? Oh my god. Like, I glossed over some of the other, here's what he said when we were in bed. And it's like, yeah, wonderful, fantastic. I don't really care about pillow talk. But it was only while describing it to her friends years later that she realized that she had actually been SA'd, she claimed. Interesting. That's why, you didn't go to the police or anything like that. Even now, however, she does not believe it would be necessary for cops to investigate, but it's more than enough to shake down, right? See, this is what happens. These chicks, they just collaborate together when they're in a situation, realizing that, okay, cool, well, you're not going to get the relationship. You're not going to get that ring and that long-term security. Well, fuck, what are we going to do here now? And then even going back to the charges that are still overarching on all of this stuff right now, we have the 6 accusers and a handful of charges to, the 4 people that are there, of course, Georgiana and Luana, the 2 women that are there, and then Andrew and Tristan as well. We know 2 of the victims in this situation want nothing at all to do with the charges. It's like, no, we love the Tates, we work at the Tates, everything's fine. And then he had the judge, that one female judge, come forward and say, oh no, yeah, you actually don't know what you're talking about. You've been brainwashed, so we're just going to keep them in jail for another month. And then you have two victims again, that nobody knows anything about. No counselor or anything like that, just the prosecutors. Their justification, their evidence right now is just trust us, bro. Interesting tactic. And we have two other girls as well. I've done deep dives on those two situations, and it brings us back to a very important development. I've alluded to this, I think, yeah. No, that was the stream yesterday. Did that in the stream yesterday. I was hit up, okay, about some underlying information about Aida Gabbey. You remember her, right? She's the chick down there from Miami that got flued out to Romania, and she was popping pussy down there in the Tate compound, cutting TikTok videos, wanting to be a big famous star. She's a big famous star, but didn't want to let the Tate guys know that, oh, she might have had a boyfriend back in Miami who was acting up a bit, and seeing her Instagram stories, seeing her reels that were out there, and just going, oh, hey, sweetie, what happened out there? And then coming up with a fantastical story that, oh, no, we're here actually against our will. And then that's when the ball ultimately began rolling. But yeah, did this long deep dive into the events then, and then a couple of days ago, I ended up getting hit up. I ended up getting hit up by somebody on Twitter, through email as well, and over the past couple of days, I've been in communication with this person. The first bit of information I got is, this is on email because I can barely understand how to use, Twitter, okay? I just normally use it to shitpost. So somebody saying that, okay, I tried to contact you on Twitter. Fair enough. Recently, I just found it, and it's like, okay, no, definitely verifiable there. And I've been doing some information in the background to make sure that, this isn't a cap situation, which verified totally isn't, because there's a bunch of information that I was told through email that, wouldn't have come out elsewhere. So, as it is alleged here, okay, I was friends with Aida Gabbey. I can explain all her legal court cases, and you could do a video on her. That she's not who she seems. It's the first communication that I get on Friday. Of course, I see that, and it's like, Aida Gabbey. Like, the name sounds familiar. And I do a quick research, and it's like, oh, this chick right here. Okay, well, a bunch of things seem a little bit weird and a little bit off, and I know that I did a little bit of digging around, and I found that, yeah, no, she had a couple of previous engagements and a couple of run-ins with the law, but, my tip provider here also filled in a couple of other gaps that I haven't seen anybody elucidate on before. I was incredibly shocked to get this information, and more than willing to put it out there. So shout out to them, and like I said, I'm not going to be exposing anybody's personal details or anything like that. And person was kind enough to provide me with this, and given the fact that this is one of the biggest legal cases that's out there, it's like, why me? I don't understand, but that's totally fine. Oh yeah, in one of the tweets that I used before, okay, the alleged victim, Aida Gabbey, has a long history of coming up with false stories and trying to get away with it. Very true. Since 15, she claimed to go missing when she got so upset with her parents several times. We've seen that as well in that video way back in, this tweet came out in February, and that was the last time that, I probably did the big expose on it, but yeah, there was a Facebook post that was out there by the Delray Police Department. The Delray PD, I believe that, yeah, this one ends up going out. Oh, it doesn't have the caption that's on there, but yeah, there was an APB for a missing person, then, recovered a couple of days later, so nothing really high profile or anything like that, but why would Aida go missing unprompted all of a sudden after a big dust up with parents or something like that? Actually, yes, there is an underlying cause to this. So let me fill in some blanks here. Okay, I'll try to edit as we go. Okay, so this is Aida. This is the next communication that I get after saying, yeah, no, what do you got in here? Okay, she went to BAC MSOA. Okay, what is that exactly? It's BAC Middle School of the Arts. It is, okay, it's down there in West Palm Beach. I do believe that's where it's at. Yeah, West Palm Beach, Florida. Okay, and that all lines up with Delray, Florida. Okay, after all. So, and we also know, as you can tell by the one picture that's out there, okay, likes to play the guitar and all that stuff. So, yeah, no, okay, everything checks out so far, and interesting as well. As a music major, Okay, interesting. Okay. She was really outgoing. That makes sense. Making communications and, hey, reaching out and, being a social butterfly online, especially at the young age of 15 as well, convincing a bunch of people to do a bunch of weird stuff. More on that in a second. People rejected her because she lied and was flunking with D's and F's and hated school. Interesting. She sent sexy pictures in high school to a boy. They leaked. She got bullied and jumped around from school to school. Interesting. Okay. Once again, somebody using and weaponizing their sexuality in order to get preferential treatment, and then ends up in a situation like with the Tate situation where you're alleging that, I've been sex trafficked, which, as we can kind of understand and glean from the information out there, kind of a bit of cap, right? She lied a lot. She did hard drugs and weed. Yeah, and that also, alongside the other accuser that people know about, the Moldovan stripper chick, also had a substance abuse problem. So, okay, birds of a feather, right? Flock together. Lots of weed, it was gross, and posted about it. Couldn't find any of the social media accounts outside of the Facebook account at the time, and it seemed fairly scrubbed. It was just somebody who liked their guitar and liked their weird little goofy tattoos, right? Fast forward to high school, and she got raped by a yoga teacher, which I didn't know about this situation at all. Okay, so yoga teacher accused of having sex with a 15-year-old student. That's what's being referenced right here. Since 15, she claimed to go missing when she was upset with her parents several times. What were they upset about? This dust up right here, because it's very interesting. And I was sent this link, and that's why I was also wondering, it's like, is this real? Like, because this is such a high profile case, and why me? So double checking and going through on this one. So take a look at where it's being reported from. Delray Beach, Florida, June 14th, 2017. Around the same time that the missing persons report came out for Emma. A yoga instructor from Delray Beach is accused of having sex with a 15-year-old female student. According to Delray Beach police, the victim's mother said 58-year-old Keith Fox had an inappropriate relationship with her daughter. The arrest report states that Fox, who was the girl's yoga teacher, the two spent lots of time alone together, including in his car and at his home. Police say in June of 2016, the teen's mother hired a private investigator to look into the pair's relationship, having to hire a private investigator because Emma was a provable and a patterned liar, as we have learned from multiple different sources. Police say the report concluded that Fox and the teen were seen naked and touching one another the time while his wife was away on a business trip. Gross? Like, these are still, this is still a teenager, which is kind of gross, but tells you a lot about the psychological makeup of this person. Mother told officers that Fox would pick up her daughter all times of the day, including early morning and late at night. Okay. In July 2016, officers spoke to a 15-year-old girl. She told police that she and Fox had a father-daughter-like relationship, and she considered him to be a mentor. She told officers that Fox would buy her things and tell her no one would love her like he did, including her parents. Gross. The girl told police the first inappropriate contact she had with Fox was when the two were sitting in his car. He asked her if she ever had and offered her to give her a Thai massage. What the fuck? Okay, the girl told police that he placed his hands on her stomach and another one over her private areas and began touching her. Okay. Again, this is a teenager, and still, regardless, even if she is a liar, this is still abuse. If, again, these accusations are honest and accurate. The teen told officers on July 4th that she was alone with Fox inside his home. The teen told Fox that it was not a good idea for them to have sex because she was on the rag, but Fox insisted, and oh my god, yo man. 2 days after speaking to the police, the teen was taken to the Butterfly House for a exam. Police reached out to Fox, who provided a sample of his DNA to investigators. Fox was arrested and taken to Palm Beach County Jail, charged with sexual battery of a victim over 12 but less than 18 years old. So, okay, that was the first documented case where maybe there were a couple of inconsistencies at play, right? So to continue on with the tips that I received here, someone on Tinder told me she was promiscuous and no good. Okay, so the word on the streets in Delray Beach is not somebody to necessarily be trusted. But then that also shows you that, hey man, regardless of reputation, there's going to be a thirsty enough simp out there willing to smash and, try to put a ring on it. But I also found some other information in here as well. So we got Aida Gabbey's Florida voter registration. Okay, just once again to confirm that this is the person living in this area in Palm Beach County, Florida. It also shows you that not all Republicans are built the same. So this is publicly available information. Okay, I'm not doxing anything that's out there. So 22 years old, lives in Delray Beach, Florida. Mother and father. Okay, so William Allen Gabbey, obviously, and then Mona Hussein Tabara. Keep that name in mind here for a second, because there's going to be some interesting information and some behind the scenes stuff I haven't actually heard disclosed from anywhere else. So that's why I also found this to be incredibly interesting. Then came, so first we're going to go back to this case right here, because I talked about this one briefly, and because there was no way to actually get the docket or anything like that. Okay, this was another family court case that was open in September of 2019 and then recently closed earlier. Actually, it was just refreshed today. Oh no, yesterday. Weird, on a Sunday. So then came Marlon Kenneth Fisher, a pedo. She told me that he would tie her up and that it was beautiful. Let me repeat that, okay? He would tie her up and that it was beautiful. Now, also understand that, Emma's been traumatized, at least from the age of 15, and this would have happened 2 years later, so depending on time and birth date and all that stuff, could be 17 or 18 years old. Don't know how old Kenneth is, but it's at best creepy, at worst it's pedophilia, which is also being alleged in here as well. She worked as a stripper. Of course, right? Drug habit, and then also, all of this underlying trauma, a bit of a broken home as well, and additional information here very, very soon, where she probably met her boyfriend she moved in with. Okay, so that was the boyfriend that she was with when she was over at the Tate residence, and now at least is registered to vote from her parents' old place. She was adopted from Kazakhstan. Remember how I said that? Remember how I said keep that name in mind of her mother right there, Mona Hussein Tabart? I would imagine, I don't know anything about this specifically, but I'd imagine, Bill might be the stepdad. And Emma ended up getting adopted after the marriage. Just wondering, trying to put two and two together on this one. But yes, she's adopted from Kazakhstan. Lied a lot. Fluent in Arabic, and we can also see from, the pictures and from the voter registration as well, either Asian or, where do they say that right there? Yeah, Asian or Pacific Islander. Kazakhstan, in Asia as well. So yeah, no, everything's all checking out here, right? Yes, fluent in Arabic, and then just a little editorializing here, but as somebody who at least knows, person in some capacity, is really dumb. Like really, really dumb, because she doesn't think she's smart, which is, maybe also downplaying from a bunch of, acquired trauma. Like we've seen the stories, guys. Like it's pretty fucking grim, to be completely honest. And, also she did lie on Tate's name, for Christ's sakes. Like, come on now. With the Andrew Tate thing, who really knows? But she is a liar and a user, and also kind of ended up taking advantage of the person that was nice enough to share this information with me as well. So I will leave that paragraph out. Okay. The extent of her lies were scary, and she'd lie about everything. When somebody confronted her about it, she would lash out and go into her own fantasy, which... doesn't that seem like it would corroborate with those leaked text messages, the leaked WhatsApp messages where, we could spin this off and it could be like a Netflix or a Hulu special. Would just, once you ended up getting caught, how can we get out of this and how can we turn a buck on it? Very interesting as well, right? But yes, that's the information that I received about an Andrew Tate accuser. Somebody who is at the center of, keeping everybody locked up or at least on house arrest for all of 2023 so far, and is one of the central figures that that initially got this ball rolling all the way back in April of 2022. So I do appreciate that person reaching out to me. I've been in communication with them, and don't worry if anybody's going to be trying to take credits in the comment sections or anything like that. I got a couple of pieces of information that I both held back from the communications, and I also know usernames and all that stuff as well. So hey, don't worry. If anybody's trying to falsify any of that shit, I kept it as vague as possible, but then at the same time, keeping some safeguards in place so that I don't out anybody and nobody also tries to take any credit. That is between me and the other person as well. So thank you very much for sharing that information. And if you guys have any other information, I don't know why you'd reach out to me, but I do appreciate it. And I'm going to try to report it as best as possible and try to connect some dots where they are available. So yeah, feel free to email, Twitter, anything like that. All of my contact information, whatever is most convenient for you, it's all on the YouTube page or on the Twitter page as well. Feel free, shoot me a message. We'll see what we can do with it. If it's something that is topical, important to you, we'll see if we can work it in some form or fashion. But this Tate situation is one that I've been keeping an eye on, and I think is incredibly important because it's another one of these high-profile situations where somebody is getting railroaded, obviously. And if it can happen to somebody on that level, guess what? Just because they have the financial resources in order to fight this doesn't mean that it can't happen to you. Somebody who doesn't even have a fraction the amount of money or influence as the Tate brothers do, if it can happen to them, it can happen to you. So with all that said, thank you all very much for the gift of your time. I've been Don Consuelo. I want you to follow your gut and get after it. Take care, everyone.